Hello, and welcome to the BigTime Strength Podcast, featuring small school strength coaches from around the nation that are making the big time where they are at. Before we get to the episode, we'd like to thank our sponsors that make this podcast possible. TeamBuildr is a strength and conditioning software that allows coaches to build training programs, create wellness questionnaires, access and track athlete data, and more. Athletes can log data using phones, tablets, or laptops and can watch exercise videos so they know exactly what to do. Coaches can use the tools within the platform to monitor athlete recovery and readiness. Be sure to sign up now with code BigTime and you will gain access to a 30-day free trial. This episode is also brought to you by Powerlift. Taking your athletic facility from concept to completion can be a challenge. It is Powerlift's goal to make the process as seamless as possible from start to finish. Their weight equipment is made from the toughest materials that can withstand excessive use from coaches and athletes for years to come. It's sought after for its unique design, customizable appearance, affordability, and superior warranty that training facilities deserve. Powerlift helps design weight rooms with the athlete in mind, and they pride themselves on their ability to outfit athletic facilities based on a team's unique goals. That's why high schools, universities, professional sports teams, and athletic performance facilities around the world have chosen Powerlift to help maximize their strength training goals. Call Powerlift today to be contacted with a rep in your area and give us a follow on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to see for yourself why our clients are Powerlift proud. Finally, this episode is also brought to you by Vitruve. Vitruve is a velocity-based training system designed for colleges and high schools around the world. It is accurate, reliable, and affordable. The software is quick and easy to set up and use with a whole room of athletes simultaneously. Coaches have chosen Vitruve because it simplifies VBT and allows them to seamlessly integrate it on a daily basis. Check out Vitruve now for your school's free demo unit. Now, let's get to this week's episode.
My pleasure to introduce Coach Preston Pedersen from Mount Vernon High School in Iowa for the past 8 seasons at Mount Vernon. He served as strength and speed coach and assistant football coach, helping the Mustangs to an impressive 61-22 record in a Class 3A state runner-up finish in 2022. His dedication to strength and speed has also earned him the NHSSCA State Strength Coach of the Year in 2020, and just recently, in the last week or two, Region Coach of the Year in 2024. So we're excited about him wrapping things up with pregame primers, preparing your athletes for competition. So thank you.
Appreciate that. Well, first of all, I have to thank him for putting on this awesome clinic. Had a few really awesome conversations. One of the things that I love about clinics is the conversations, but sat in on some really cool presentations too. So appreciative of him, and just thankful for you all to be able to be in here, listen. If you have questions along the way, please don't hesitate to stop me and ask. I'm hoping that this stuff, if you're not doing it, that I can convince you that it is something that you should be doing. Okay, and if you're already there, awesome. Hopefully you get a couple ideas of how we implement it and maybe improve it for your situation. So pregame primers, we want to make sure that our kids are performing at their best. We want to make sure that they perform at their best at the right times. So we have to ask ourselves, where do we begin with this stuff? And maybe you don't have very much background knowledge with the pregame primers. I'll try to dive into a little bit of the benefits along the way. But I think there's a few things that we have to kind of agree on first here. Is what do we want to get from a pregame primer? What are the things that we're chasing after? And sometimes we just have to roll back just a little bit and be like, okay, what is the football program or culture that we're trying to build from it? And then kind of go from there. So we want to contribute to a culture of high performance. I don't know if you guys follow Brad Dixon much on social media and some of the things that he pushes. I'm a wholehearted believer. I think that sprint-based football is the way of the future. It's the way to go. And it's not because I think that everybody has done it wrong up to this point. I think that there's just ways that can get better. And this is one of them. So sprint-based football type mindset, I think, is very important or central to this idea. We want our athletes to be disciplined enough to be consistent. This just will be a little bit of a talk of like what it shows like for our full year, not just for our football season or pre-game, and then how we fit into the ultimate team sport. So like, what does it look like for our kids to be able to get the benefits of doing your job well, or being 1/11th, or unity, or all these concepts that we as football coaches preach, brotherhood, all that type of stuff. How can we build toward that? And then we want our players to be the best prepared to compete, right, for their teams on Friday nights when it matters the most. So how can we light a fire, and how does this pregame primer help build toward those goals, those ends? Okay, so here's what I want to start with. We are a unified program. The motto that we use is all Stangs, all sports, all in. And you are all football coaches in here, so let's like make sure that we understand when we say unified, it's not just football. It is every athlete at Mount Vernon, all Mustangs. Okay, so all Stangs, all sports, all in. And we're saying that it is so important for us to train year-round. And what we want to see is once we create a culture of training and we train effectively for 4 years straight, we're going to end up with some people that are very athletic. And that's what we're shooting for. But maybe this pregame primer wouldn't be for you if you're not there yet. I'm being serious. It might even be detrimental to your program if you're not here yet. Okay, and there's a number of reasons why. This is a quote from Scott Meyer. This is a way that a lot of people function. A lot of schools still function. Scott Meyer is a strength coach up at Farmington in Minnesota, and he says there's a huge difference between athletes that train year-round for multiple years versus those that only train a couple times per week in season because their coaches made them do it. It takes commitment to reap the benefits. And most of you know that. Like if you want to be good at something, if you want to see the benefits of it, you better make sure that you're sowing well if you want to reap well. Okay? And what we say is we want this unified approach from the very top all the way down. Okay, so when I got hired 8 years ago at Mount Vernon, it was probably the best circumstance or situation possible because our principal and our athletic director wanted to see our school go in this direction. So they hired for it. And then they made sure that the structure was there. Okay, and they say, okay, we don't do sport-specific strength, speed, and agility training. This was their idea. These were their thoughts. And then they just said, okay, who are we going to find to actually fulfill this? Okay, and I was lucky enough at the time, blessed enough at the time to be able to find that job and love Eastern Iowa since then. So our goals apply to all sports. Okay, so when you come into our weight room or our gym or our training sessions in the summer outside, whatever it looks like, it is for all student athletes. So we don't train football players. We don't train volleyball players. We don't train cross-country athletes. What we do is we make sure that everybody becomes explosive, they become strong, and obviously we want to make sure that people are getting fast. Okay, we use a consistent and unified program to develop and achieve those goals. All right, so you're like, okay, I thought we were talking about pregame primers. I think this sets the stage for your kids buying in big time to a pregame primer. Strength training is nothing more than GPP, so general physical preparedness. It's not the game. It's not football. Strength training is not football. You all know it, okay? What it serves as is preparation, okay? General preparation even. It's not even specific. Okay? The basic movements that are learned and performed in the weight room that help athletes in one sport will assist them in all the other ones, especially for younger athletes, which I include high school athletes in that. And then once again, all Stangs, all sports, all in. And the question is, all year? And it's kind of a joke. I was talking to my dad before this. He's a head football coach. Recently, Jerry DeFilippo on Twitter said this, and I totally, wholeheartedly agree with it. If there's one thing that I've learned as a strength coach, the most important rep and set prescription is 52 by 3, right? So being consistent for a full year. And I quoted it. I'm like, yes, big time. Except we're not 52 weeks at Mount Vernon. Well, actually, I counted up. I miscounted, I think. We're either 46 or 47, depending on how the calendar falls. We're 46 or 47 weeks out of the year where we train 2 to 3 times. And Dad's like, you only train twice a week sometimes? I'm like, well, there's some stipulations. He's like, well, you should say that then, okay? 90 to 95% of our athletes at Mount Vernon, they train 3 days a week for 46 to 47 weeks out of the year. There are a few kids that if they're not in our class for a semester that they're not in a sport, then they might only train twice. Does that make sense for everybody? So there's a little bit of stipulation to it. But what we're saying is consistency matters. Consistency wins. That's what we want to see. Okay, so here's our yearly breakdown just so that you get an overall view of what this looks like for us. So we have the macro, the meso, and then the micro right here. So we have a school year. Obviously, we have 3 phases. It's just fall, spring, summer, super simple. And then micro cycles. We get 2 to 4 training sessions per week for phases 1 and 2. And during the summer, we do 3 training sessions. through the summer. Okay, that gives you some background of how we work. Oh, I should also say that we have about 100 kids per class. So our high school is 425 students in the high school, 9 through 12. So you're like, oh man, that's kind of small, depending on where you're at, right? That's kind of small. For us, it works extremely well because we are multi-sport athletes through and through. Like if you're at a really big school, you might not be able to function like this, okay? But for like in Iowa, probably 4A and down, not the top class like the 5A class, but 4A and down, you can function like this, okay? And I believe it's really vital. All right, so knowing that, we have a simple approach, simplicity works, and you can see the quote at the bottom. Okay, I love it because really when it comes down to it, you think about your schemes and your systems and the things you do as a football program. It's not the ones that are really complicated that are super successful. It's the simple truths that keep on working over and over within the game. Okay, same thing within our training. We just want to make sure that we train speed, power, and strength year round. It's easy. Okay, that's what we want to do. Now, once we have set up this culture and we're built from top to bottom, so having the autonomy, this is what I'm talking about with like our hiring and the way that we went about this and the way that our athletic director implements it with all of our staff. Okay, so autonomy, the hiring, the alignment, the summer, all of this stuff fits together. Once you see that, then you can start to see, man, what are the benefits of actual pregame primers? Because the other one I think might be the thing that you have to focus on first to actually get the benefit from the primers. Okay, so if you're there, if you're like, oh man, now we're rolling. We got the things where we need it. Now you can start to see that these pregame primers could be super beneficial if you built the culture already. So here's the benefits. Post-action potentiation. This is solely connected to the central nervous system. So the central nervous system is your brain being able to communicate with the rest of your body. Okay? When you have kids that can react quickly, they can get their brain to perceive, react, and then apply a stimulus over and over quickly in the right situations, it's a benefit. For us, we're priming some of that. So moving a light load as fast as possible activates the central nervous system and neural pathways to the muscles. The neural signals from the brain ignite the muscles to function at a higher level, okay? Therefore, resulting in efficient muscle action. The entire CNS lights up for competition. We're getting people to ignite. We want them to be able to perform at a high level. It's kind of like the idea of a good dynamic warm-up, right? Not the one that you do all the time, every single day, and the kids get bored with. It's more of a, hey, this is the thing that's going to get us ready for a Friday night, okay? The next benefit that we get from it is just our muscles are more prepped, okay? They're warmer. The blood is flowing. This is a huge benefit. So our CNS is going, now our muscle activation is going. So when included with the pregame warm-up routine, weight room work gets muscles up and moving. Adding some resistance involves and activates more muscle fibers, adding to the overall effect. So we want to see that our CNS is going in the right direction and our muscles are going in the right direction. Okay, the next one, a twist on the dynamic warm-up. A dynamic warm-up that is mostly done on the football field is good. I don't think it is the best. I don't think that what most people are doing on the field prior to a game is optimal anyway. I think many coaches are either making their kids way too tired or they're not activating them properly, okay? On top of that, what I think happens is people see it as just a time to get through, including the kids. So warm-ups are just, okay? What I want to see is a culture changer, okay? So this is a twist on the dynamic warm-up. Warm-up, working through a full range of motion with resistance helps increase joint mobility and muscle flexibility in a functional manner. It's like a dynamic warm-up, but better, okay? All right, and then the mental edge. I think this is the big one here, okay? Our kids feel at home in the weight room. Our kids feel at home within their training. I just told you how much we're in the weight room, right? How much we're doing speed training and power training and all the things. They are at home there because they spend so much time there. What better place to be right before kickoff? Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, what an awesome opportunity to be able to say, hey, it's okay to have the nerves. It's okay to have the anxiety. But guess what? You're in a room full of your brothers. Everybody's got a similar goal. We're going to get you feeling okay. We're going to get you feeling like it is all right mentally, that burden that you have, right? We're all here together and they feel at home there and they know that they can go accomplish what they want to accomplish that night. Okay, so it's a total cultural thing there. And what our kids have found is, man, What an awesome opportunity right before a game to be able to get together, put in a little bit of work. Okay, we're going to try to activate, not annihilate, okay, but we're not trying to exhaust anybody. But this really, really helps with the mental edge, okay? And I'll show you some of the things that we do along with that. So those are some of the benefits. So how do we actually implement it? What does this actually look like? Because you're like, okay, so they're doing some lifting before a game. That's basically it. I mean, it's pretty simple. Most of what I do is really simple. Then it's just at the level at which you're doing it, right? Just like teaching power. Or just like teaching how to tackle. It's really simple. But then at what level are you actually implementing it? Okay? So here is what it looks like for a home game for us. You guys can see this. If you want to ask questions about how we do this stuff, you totally can. Let me just give you a rundown. We will get out of school at 3:15. Then at 3:30, varsity team meal in the pack. I know that seems weird that we eat at 3:30, but we eat at 3:30. Okay? Then varsity pregame primer right after we eat. And you're like, they eat food and then they go lift. All right. Okay, here it works the best for us. We voted on it. Our kids believe it's the best way that we want to do it. We keep on rocking and rolling with it. Okay, then we have a fresh soft bus leaves. This is when we would go to the location in town. It was our home field, but the bus would leave. Okay, now we have it about 5 games into the season. We got to actually open up a new facility. So now we're right on campus. They don't have to leave, but the fresh soft would go do their thing. Okay, dress and stay on campus for everybody else. Coach Pedersen, not a relationship to me, but our head coach, a really good dude. He doesn't want kids to leave. Once they're there, they're there. Okay, and there's a number of reasons that you guys probably can guess, but once they're there, they're there. Okay, then we're in the high school auditorium where we do a hype video. That I put together each week. We have coaches talk. We'll bring in guest speakers, that type of stuff, just to help with the solidification of the leadership trait or characteristic that we've talked through that week. Okay. Then team stretch on the practice field. Then this is when we used to leave. Now this is a walk to the game field, and then we take the field for our pregame stuff. You can see it. Pretty simple. If you were me, you're like checking out. Okay, what's it really look like for hours before kickoff? Most people say somewhere between 2 and 4 hours. I think on the 4-hour side, it's a little bit too far away. I'm still right here is 3 hours and 5 minutes away from kickoff. I still think it'd be a little bit nice to be a little bit closer. Just the way it fits our system. Our kids would not ever want to cut it. They love this stuff. Okay. Here's an away sample where it actually is a little bit closer to game time that we're going through this. And you can see obviously all these have to be adjusted for wherever you're going, okay? But we arrive, and then as soon as we get off the bus, everybody has their jerseys on. Actually, that's a lie. We dress for, it's a business trip, so we dress in suits and ties and all that type of stuff. We get off the bus, and we unload everything, and we go to the locker room, get all of our black attire on. I'll explain that in a little bit. And as we get done with that, we'll find a spot. Like as they're unloading the bus, I'm finding a spot where we can do our pregame primer. Normally what happens, it will be somewhere around the field in some way or the locker room, and we'll do our pregame primer there. We kind of take over the area. So we all swarm in, we're all wearing black, we have music that's pumping, and our kids are kind of taking over the school, okay? Now, I don't want you to be like, oh, these guys are a bunch of lunatics when they come, but it's a mentality. Do you guys get what I'm saying? It's a mentality. So when we get there, there's a certain way that we're going to be, okay? There's a certain job that we have to do, and we're going to make sure that we are getting prepped or primed for that. Then dress and tape, leave the locker room, and then we're right into our stuff for our pregame stuff. All right? So you might ask, okay, what are the actual things we're doing? These are some of the things that we're actually doing. So hang clean, and then we have options after this. Option 1, option 2. Then neutral grip bench press, option 1, option 2 with it, and then some bis and tris. So it's super simple. It's really simple, okay? All this stuff is really simple. You can see we have a power exercises up here, med ball slam, JQ assisted jump. This is a power block up here. Right here, this is an upper body block, okay? And down here, this is so that you look good in your jersey, right? Now, honestly, so some of the rules that we have, you're going to laugh at this. Some of the rules that we have in our weight room, we have big mirrors on one wall, okay? We have to roll up our sleeves, pick up our weights, and smile in the weight room, in the mirror while we're pumping the weights. Okay? What high school boy doesn't feel jacked after they do some bicep curls, smiling in the mirror with all their brothers? Do you guys know what I'm saying? It's all a mental game. All of this is a mental game. So we're getting the post-activation potentiation. We're getting the muscles firing. We're doing all those things, right? All of it's beneficial scientifically. And then the meathead part of me says, man, this is just getting me ready to roll, okay? Now, the whole thing with this, though, is you have to make sure that you're not burning the steak for everybody that's like a feed the cats type person. You cannot go into this and get tired, okay? It's a primer. It's not a fatiguing thing. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Look at this work, okay? 3 sets of 3 to 5 on hang clean. Do you know how much weight we're using? It's like 95 pounds. We throw some 25s on and we go, okay? When we do med ball slams with 6-pound ball, okay? When we do JQ assisted jump, we're literally holding onto a band and it's helping us jump, okay? It's actually unloading our body, right? Neutral grip bench press. We don't go very heavy. Some of our guys are stupid. They go a little bit too heavy. But I tell them, we want the weights to rattle. We're a VBT school. We measure bar speed. We want power outputs. They know how to move fast. They know what dynamic effort looks like. So it's a dynamic effort, neutral grip bench. Then we hit some JQ single arm row and JQ YTAs, okay? JQ stands for bands. It's the brand of band that we use, okay? So I, Ys, Ts, As, all that type of stuff. It's scap mobility / strengthening, okay? And then bicep and tricep, everybody knows that. Oh, and we wear black, okay? So our kids, they eat this stuff up, right? So we get to the end of this thing, or sorry, we should say as we enter into the weight room. So as we enter the weight room, there's a playlist that we always have pumping, okay? The kids develop the playlist, we just get it going, okay? So right now, do you guys know the 7 Nation Army song? What is that? What's that song? Bum, 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 bum. What is it? Yeah, there we go, okay? And we get the lights flipping, right? And normally I've got like a threshold on the speakers of how high it can go, and I get in and I unlock the thing and I pump it all the way up, and it's like, it's a feeling, right? And one of the things that we do with this is we're making sure that the kids know, listen, it's a fine line to walk, a very fine line. We want to stimulate, but we don't want to overstimulate. You would walk in the room and you're like, this might feel like a little overstimulation, right? But they are so locked in here that it is such a positive. Net positive all the way up here, okay? So you might be like, man, this guy's talking out of both sides of his mouth. We want to make sure that they're not getting fatigued, but man, now we have all this stimulation. It's kind of like finding that spot, okay? Finding that spot on all of it, okay? Here's another example. This is a home example. Dumbbell jumps, okay? So instead of hang clean, maybe you're not at an Olympic lift school, maybe you do dumbbell jumps. And then you hit some box jumps, so you have a loaded jump, then you have an unloaded jump. That's just called contrast training, right? And then we have med ball axe swing slam. So instead of just a regular, now we're over the top hitting it, okay? I said maybe you're not an Olympic. Hey, but maybe you jerk, okay? Option 1, chest supported row. Option 2, JQ face pull. And then Muscle Beach still stays in there. You can't let that one go. And then attend the knight's funeral, whoever that was that week, okay? Option number 3, here's trap bar jump. And then hurdle hops, JQ, resisted broad jump, bench press, dumbbell single arm row, and JQ straight arm pull apart, okay? Here's another one, right? And here is example number 4, okay? Where you go RDL, where you're just going dynamic effort, RDL, that's your power movement, and then vertical jump, JQ resisted vertical jump. Do you guys see how I set it up? I mean, it's just plug and play. We have a power block, however you want to load the power. We have an upper body block, and then we have bis and tris. That's what we do at home. Okay, super simple. We do the group warm up on the front end of that though. All right, here we go. Now we have an example of the away pregame primer, because not everybody is going to allow the away team to use their weight room, right? This doesn't happen. Okay, so we have to pack up, and Coach Pedersen, he makes it a big deal. Okay, he says we're just going to bring the weight room with us. Well, in actuality, this is all we bring. But it's a mindset again. We're going to bring it with us, okay? The big one right here. This is what the kids worry about the most right here, okay? But you see power, lower body, upper body, arm farm, and get your mind right, okay? That's really what it comes down to for this section. And if you'd survey our coaches, you survey our kids, do you believe it's giving you an edge? Every one of them would be like, yeah, for sure, okay? And this is simple. This is a document. I laminate it. I throw it in the bag full of all of our foam rollers, our bands, and our stick rollers. And the kids get it out. We spread it out. We get the music pumping. We take over the field wherever we're at, and we get this knocked out, okay? Now, you might be like, okay, this is a good one. I don't know why Dion's voice is on it. I don't even if you can hear it.
What about me would make you think that I care about your opinion of me?
I think it's funny. I don't know why that's even on that. But look at this. This is Campbell University. Are they the Camels or something? I don't know what they are. But check this out. They have a whole setup. And theirs is not pregame primer in this instance. Okay? It's their baseball squad that they're traveling everywhere. So they just bring their weights with them because when you're on the road, when you're out all these places, not everybody allows you to use their weight room. So they just bring the weight room with them. All of this stuff can be like however you want to size it up or down. There's a lot of places, a lot of colleges that they'll just bring everything with them, okay? We're almost getting to that point because the way that our staff and our kids believe in it, okay? I'm not saying we have to. It's a lot of extra work. But, man, we pack like we're bringing everything except the kitchen sink anyway when we go on the road. It's not that much work when you got many hands, right? All right, let's so we can get past it. Okay, programming fun. This is the sweet spot. This is the things that matter. So never, ever underestimate the importance of having fun or creating a culture or in creating the environment that you want to be in, okay? So here's the things that we do, and I've mentioned some of them, all right? Same shirts or at least the same color. This would be an idea for you. If you're taking notes of like things that you should be like, oh yeah, we need to implement some of these things, okay? At the very least, these are some of the things that I would do. Signifies unity. We wear black. It's this statement. We're attending a funeral. And then I put a little blurb in there so that you guys don't like report me to someone, okay? Then the illusion of choice. I learned this from a coach in Central Iowa. He's a good friend, and he's taught me a lot about what it looks like for buy-in, okay? When you give people choice, they are more bought in. Do you guys remember on the home ones, the home workouts where I gave them choice? Kids love that. They love when they can choose because now they're getting exactly what they need or what they want, okay? Now it's still getting the things that I want, but they get it too. Cool? Everybody see that stuff right here? Okay, next one, pump the jams. My dad, he implements this at his school, and they have a very particular playlist that they put together. Completely different than ours, okay? Completely different. Their kids love it, right? They love it. They eat it up, okay? Now, what it comes down to is just figuring out what's it going to be something that we can get as many kids pumped up and moving in the right direction. Now, it becomes kind of the theme songs of our year, okay? Like I told you, I make the hype videos. It's pretty easy to repeat some of the hype songs that we're using in the videos when they hear them in the weight room. They literally connect it to what they're thinking about. And then when that music comes in on third downs, how cool is that? They're hearing it in the weight room. They're hearing it in the hype videos, and they hear it on third down. You kidding me? All right. Here we go. Emphasize brotherhood and empowerment. Okay, I'm going to spend some more time here. Creating the right environment takes skill. I put it on every one of these slides. Here are some ideas. This idea, I think, is one of the best. Emphasize brotherhood and empowerment over and over and over. So everybody's in their black shirt. Everybody is getting after it. The lights are flickering. Everybody's having fun. There's huge smiles on people's face. People are rolling up their sleeves when they're doing biceps and triceps. Okay, and it's because we've spent so much time together. You guys know that. We spent it in training and throughout the season up to this point. Okay, if we continue to emphasize playing for each other, how much is that going to help you in the fourth quarter? Absolutely, right? It's when teams don't play for each other or they become selfish that they suck or they can't accomplish the goals that they're supposed to accomplish, right? So if we can re-emphasize this over and over and over in another setting, isn't that beneficial for our kids? All right, so watch confidence soar when your team believes in each other. The things we emphasize, these are literally on our door. We have like a sticker wrapped door going into our weight room. These are the things that we put on them. Narrow your focus. Okay, we have a job to do. What's our job? It's to get primed. No, it's to win the game. The goal is to win the game. This is just going to be one of those steps along the way. Move with purpose. We're not going to be in there for just no reason. We're always like this. We've got the next thing. take advantage of the opportunity to get better. Okay? So we already have this culture of a unified program. We are going to show up for 46 to 47 weeks out of the year and train 2 to 3 times a week, sometimes more than that. And we just keep on trucking, right? Every day, these are the words that I'm talking about. Taking advantage of the opportunity, okay? Because it's for the people that struggle with that, of showing up and taking advantage, that we're just okay, right? We want to be better than just okay. Be coachable. I just recently put out a tweet about how fun it is at Mount Vernon to coach our kids or to teach our kids, because after every class, session, practice, whatever it is, they thank the teacher or the coach or whoever's running the session. It's crazy. Literally, they come up and thank us. When I coach a kid, you know what they say after I coach a kid up? They say thank you, right? If you can instill that in everything that you're doing, it is so much fun to coach a humble heart. Right? Have you ever had kids that aren't coachable? They don't have a humble heart? It's hard. It is so hard. So if the whole brotherhood is being coachable and that one person isn't, it's pretty simple to see. Those kids will see it, right? Have a sense of urgency. The way that we move around the room still is going to be moving with purpose, okay? And then pull others up with you. It's not about yourself. It's never about yourself, all right? All right, powerful moments. Anything that brings togetherness is what we're going to focus on through our football season. Coach Pedersen, he does a lot of extras. A lot of extras. He has a whole presentation, I think it's 120 slides, of things that we do throughout the year, throughout the season, each week, each practice. A lot of extras. But all of those extras become the standard of how we do it. He's been there 10 years. It's just Mustang football now. At the beginning, I think it was hard to implement it all. I think it was hard to change the culture. Now, that's what kids expect. It's what the community expects, okay? And I think it's really, really cool. Anything that brings connection to the team needs to be emphasized. And that's what we try to do over and over and over. And we just luckily have enough kids that buy into that type of stuff. We often allow seniors to speak to the rest of the team at the end of a pregame primer. At the end, I'll show you some of the clip or the pictures. I didn't get them into the slideshow. I was talking. Right before I was talking. Who would have guessed? But this stuff is powerful for our kids. So imagine, like, this is a room full of our athletes, okay, our football players, and we just got done with this pregame primer, and everybody's rolling and stretching at the end, and then a senior stands up in front of the rest of the group and has some words to say in front of their peers that they've been going to school with and growing up for a long time, right? There is so much value in that, so much. And guess what I do? Like, I'm even filming this stuff. Guess what I do? I film it. What an awesome hype video later on, right? Like little clips of the awesome things that our kids say. Man, that stuff is powerful. Like, if you want to create a culture where kids want to give everything they got, what an awesome way to just like keep on replaying that. And this is something I look forward to the most. I film them and then use them for our following week's hype videos. Okay? Kids, they literally look forward to this stuff. Some of them get a little hyped up about it, like, but they want to do it because it's their opportunity to say what they want to their brothers. All right, constant culture reinforcement. We have this guy right here. His name is Brent Brazzi. So this is our weight room. You can kind of see it. We've got, there's one more rack right here. 2, 3, 4, one in the window, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's 9 racks. And then we've got just stuff everywhere. And we've got a ton of kids in there. It's jam-packed. We figure out how to make it work. But then at the end, everybody sits down. You can see all the bands and the rollers and the stick rollers and all that type of stuff. Everybody sat down for a while. And then Coach Brazzi comes in. And Coach Brazzi, he's a leader of young men. Okay? That's actually a little bit of a lie. He's a leader of young women. He's the Cornell girls basketball coach, but his sons have played for Mount Vernon football. So he comes in and he brings in Gatorades or electrolyte drinks, and he passes them out to the players of the week. Okay? And the players of the week don't get those drinks. The players of the week go give them to who they think is the most deserving for them. Okay, so it'll be like player of the week would be the offensive player of the week. So maybe Jace Jaspers had 2 big touchdowns, so he gets offensive player of the week. So he grabs one of those Gatorades and then he goes and takes it to the quarterback who threw him those balls. Or maybe a lineman that sprung the big play, or whatever it is. Do you guys follow what I'm saying? Okay, so he's giving it to the people that won awards. Those people are giving it to the people that they're thankful for, right? So just another thing. And then this guy, he talks with us throughout the whole week. So we have weekly leadership topics. We have a mental performance coach. He's coming in, he's talking to our kids, okay? And it's like he's got themes that go the whole year, like everybody does, that you put them on t-shirts and that type of stuff. But then we have these weekly themes that play in toward that. And he's reinforcing it through the week. Coach Pedersen's reinforcing it through the week. Other coaches are asked to come speak and reinforce it throughout the week. And then he comes in and he solidifies the point while we're still sitting on the floor in the weight room after the pregame primer, okay? And you might think about all this stuff and think, man, I thought it was just going to be about like the exercises that they do beforehand. And I'm telling you, it is so much less about the exercises that you do and more about the environment you create. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Give me a head nod or something, okay? So what I want to see when, like, if you're going to implement this stuff is how can you make a Friday night special for the kids? Our kids live for it, okay? We have a lot of talks where we talk about there's things way, way bigger than football, but man, isn't it special to do this with your brothers on a Friday night? It's like those both and things. There's stuff way more important than football. But is there stuff way more important than being there for your brother? I don't know if there's very many things more important than that, right? And we're saying all these people in this room are our brother, okay? So what are you trying to build with it? So that constant culture reinforcement, bringing in a culture coach, if you don't have one, you literally designate somebody on your staff that is that person. It's easy, okay? And then this is the big, I've got one more slide that will say like kind of the considerations and make sure that you don't do stuff wrong, okay? But know the line. If you want more ideas, just please reach out, okay? But the outcome we are looking for is to be primed, not fatigued. We don't want to be worse coming out of this. We want to be on cloud 9 and ready to go, okay? This is a reminder for you and your staff and your team, we want energy, okay? We just don't want to waste that energy before the kickoff, okay? I'll leave the other stuff at the end. So, conclusion, this one right here. Disclaimers, the important considerations with this stuff. Many coaches and athletes believe that lifting on game day is detrimental. You probably fight that. Our quarterback 4 years ago, he was also a pitcher. Our baseball coach is awesome. He runs everything. He's my assistant strength and speed coach during the summer. In Iowa, we have summer baseball. Okay, our baseball coach is hook, line, and sinker on what we do. That pitcher, who was a quarterback, he lifted on game day, and he had done it throughout high school, but he lifted on game day through the best game of his life. Okay, and he had lifted that morning in strength and speed. He was completely and totally hooked. Okay, so it was like just these little stories of success over and over and over that we just remind kids, like, hey, this is just the way that we do things, and we see a lot of positives from it, and we adjust. I want you to know we adjust big time with in-season athletes and how we do things. But really what it comes down to is we have found that the exact opposite is true of being detrimental. We've found that it's actually a positive. It's a huge benefit for us. As we take the field or the court or the mat or the track or whatever we're doing, in this case, in this scenario, football, man, it's a big deal, okay? If you're just starting out, you'll really have to focus on the buy-in. The best way to do this is to explain the why. And you know this, but a lot of coaches skip over it. It's like a poorly run practice. It's like you're trying to be so dang efficient with your practice that you forgot to tell the kids why it's important to be efficient. You know what I mean? So it's like sometimes you got to slow down, take the time, explain why this stuff is important, because kids are really dang smart. And if they know the reasons behind it, in the same way that I just laid this stuff out for you, I hope it hits home for you. It would be your job to go to your school district and talk to your team and explain to them why it's important. The way that we function at Mount Vernon is I would have to, like the first time we implemented this, I had to present to Coach P. Why is it going to make our team better? Do you guys get what I'm saying? Okay. Same way, can you present to your team? So the very first time we brought our kids in, they got shirts printed that year. Okay. We don't do it anymore because it costs money, but everybody just wears a black shirt. Okay, first year we did it, they bought one. They put on silver letters or numbering, it said 1-0, okay? Because our mindset that year was to be 1-0. Doesn't matter anything else, just 1-0. On the front, it was silver too, on a black shirt. And everybody came in with that, so we're pumping up. We tried to pump it up as much as we could. And then we talked through it. Why are we doing this? And then that whole season, I reminded them, why are we doing it? Now, basically during week 1, I remind them why we're doing it. And then after that, they've done it so many times, we're good, okay? All right, it is important to have the whole staff on board. Our coaches believe it's a competitive advantage. So we have arguably some of the most seasoned coaches. Like our offensive coordinator played 14 years in the NFL and is brilliant, okay? If Brad Meester says, yeah, this stuff is awesome, then we're good. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like Coach Pedersen, tons of experience. He says, yeah, we're good. Awesome. I'm sitting in a good spot, right? Because I believe it's that way too. So now every one of our coaches believes this is something that we need to do if we want to be the best that we can be on a Friday night. In the same way that everybody is super passionate about the stuff during the week, we're even passionate about the pregame stuff. This is the most advantageous to trained athletes. If an athlete hasn't been constantly training, then I'm not sure if this is actually beneficial for them as much as it possibly could be. That's why I started out the talk with the unified approach, with the idea of consistently training. And hopefully this ties it back together and you kind of see why that's the case. Okay? So we have a culture, we have an expectation at Mount Vernon that we train. And this is the primer that gets to elicit all that fruit. You know what I'm saying? This is the thing that gets to help show all the work that we've done. Because it's great when people are great in their training, but we want it to carry over. We want it to actually be effective. Okay? All right, so this is our crew from this year. So they just got done. I said, hey guys, here's something. I just want to remember this moment forever, okay? Because it's pretty cool. They just got done. The seniors had talked. Coach Brazzi had talked. I said, hey, can you all flex it up for me? Okay, so then they all flex it up. I take the picture. When we train hard. When we prepare, we're calculated. Like I want the kids to know what we're doing is the best. What we're doing is the best, and I know it. When we play, we want to make sure that we're primed, right? It is our job to create the environment where kids can flourish, and I think most of this talk was specifically about that. So primers are a portion of it. Creating the environment, that's just as big or bigger. Very cool? All right, here's contact information if you have questions about this stuff. The big thing that I would say is just thank you for taking the time to listen about this. If you're someone that's like, you can't just listen to a presentation and then just implement it, I totally get it. I truly do. For me to pull the trigger on this, it takes a long time. For me to set up all the information and then present it to Coach P and then present it to our staff and then to get all of our kids on board, it was a long time, okay? If you're a person that you need more time, I get it. This is a total big plug right here. I also wrote a book on it, okay? Because I think it's really important for coaches to know the ins and outs of a pregame. If you want this, awesome. If you don't want it, it's no big deal. What I am trying to say is there's a lot of ins and outs to make sure that this works the way that it should, okay? When it comes down to it, if you're going to implement this, you need to be a professional. If you end up making kids worse because of it, that's on you. It's not on the kids, okay? All right, I think those are all my disclaimers. It's my thank yous. Anything else I forgot, Dad? My dad was my head coach. Now he's my person. He consults for me. It's awesome.
Do any of the other teams at your school do this?
Our basketball teams have in the past. Our track team is an extension of our strength and speed program. I should say it the other way. Our strength and speed program is an extension of our track team. I believe that they get primed really well, but they don't do the lifting portion of things. They do more of like a plyometric-based type stuff and some of the other things that you can do to get primed or prepped. Our baseball team functions different because they're in the summer, and so does our softball. I should say that so our softball team, this last year they got beat out in the regional final, but the year before that they won state. And they were training all the way up, literally trained on state championship day in the morning. So it was maybe like a noon game or something, and they trained that morning. So literally still could be a primer. Okay, if you train on a Friday at school, technically it can still be a primer, depending on how you set up your volume. I just don't know if you're going to get the neurological effects that far away from kickoff. That's a good question. I'd be a proponent for people to do it. Not everybody's involved or wants it as bad as a football staff. You probably know that.
Coach, that's what I was going to ask you. If you have a weights class during the day, we have a 7-hour block, and we train on game day in weights class, how would you adapt your program with a school that has a weights hour during the day?
Fridays, we play games. We do some speed and agility on the front end, and then play games the rest of the time because I love kids being kids. So we'll play about everything that you could think of. And then we do this after school. If I was going to train on that particular day, I would just run it like I normally would for every other sport does it. Our JV does it on Mondays. We just train, we just adjust the volume. I'm sure a lot of people in here have probably seen the stoplight by now. Cody Hughes in Alabama, he put out the stoplight that helps adjust volume. It makes it really, really easy if it's a red day, a yellow day, or a green day. I have adhered to that for 4 years now. Kids absolutely love it. So I don't know if that helped answer your question, but mostly what I would do is just train as normal. Yeah. Unless you are a football-specific class, then I might change it. But if it's everybody, the sake of the whole is way more important than.
Yeah. So would you still come in and you train normal during the day, and then you still come in and do your curls and your triceps and your power movement, or do you just adjust it?
I would make it less than what I just showed you. I would still do everything that we do, but I'd even make it a little bit less.
1, 2 sets.
Exactly.
Pull down the reps, whatever.
Absolutely. That's a really good clarification right there. Yes. So what he's asking is, if you train normal during the day, would you do this any differently? And I would take the volume down even more. I still want to elicit the results, the effects, but I just don't want to do that much. Yeah. It's a good thought. Here's another thing, maybe just in general. If you're going to start out with this, there's two frames of thought that I could think of, like 2 angles. One way would be have it be a ramp, so less is more early on to get kids used to it, okay? Or you implement it during scrimmage. Like in Iowa, we have a scrimmage week, and then week 1 would be like maybe the second opportunity to do it. So like you do it once or twice when it really doesn't matter during scrimmage or an inter squad or something. You do it once or twice when it doesn't matter. So by the time you get to game week, it's a grooved deal. It's all greased up and ready to go.
What does your on-the-field pregame stuff look like then, positionally?
Light, quick, explosive, plenty of rust. Does that help? It's different for everybody, right? I mean, I'd have to go through 12 different position things if we're going to do that, but less is more, once again. Some people ask me about like RPR. We're not an RPR school. I'm not certified, so I don't feel comfortable doing it, but like that would be a perfect time to do that, to get some of your speed drills or sprint drills, or I'm a huge fan of game-like situations, so like cutting, backpedaling, those type of things, but it all has to be moderated way less. I remember sometimes in high school, no offense to my dad, but sometimes I'd be tired by the time we got to kickoff, okay? And that was just because I hadn't learned, we hadn't learned, Dad hadn't learned yet. It's probably different now, right? Yep. It's different. We all learn. Any other thoughts or questions? No, we do a fresh soft curtain raiser. Yep. We'll do JV on Monday nights, and then fresh soft curtain raiser on Friday nights, prior to every varsity game. There's a lot of positives to that. There's a lot of negatives to that.
So the fresh soft kids are not doing the primers before their game?
Absolutely not.
Because it's the timing.
Because I hate babysitting, is what I hate. Yeah, they're not ready for it yet, in my opinion.
Right.
Now, I think this is a varsity level thing. I think in the same way I said I don't believe it's that beneficial for a school that's not really regularly training, I don't think it's beneficial for freshmen and sophomores that are not varsity ready, because I just don't. I don't think that they get the bang for their buck. I don't think they get the central nervous system excitement. I don't think they're ready for that type of thing. Yeah, it's a lot of responsibility. And On top of it, we lean on our seniors really hard to set the culture, and freshmen and sophomores just aren't ready to do that. Yeah, it'd be like holding their hand the whole time. Now, if you've got a full team, like my dad's got a full team that will dress on Friday nights, and the seniors are in there, and your other coaches are in there, by all means, bring them. But I don't think they should be doing their own session by themselves. Maybe JV, you could look at doing something like that if you've got some good JV leaders. It really comes down to if you've got leaders or not and if you're developing them. Yeah. Any other thoughts or questions? I don't even know what time it is. I'm sorry. What is it? Perfect. Okay. Here's I didn't get these pulled up. I should have. That's Coach Brazzi. That's Joey doing his. I should have had this in there when we were talking about let the seniors talk. That's Joey, our quarterback. He was talking there. There's us doing neutral grip bench press. Here's Jonah hitting some IYs, T's, and A's. Must have been a double. I really like Jonah, I guess. Here's at Williamsburg where we lost by 3. Coach Ritchie was here, that son of a gun. He's a really good guy. And they have a really awesome facility. But like we take over the field, this is our speaker right here. You see the bands, they all spread out. They're all active, they're all doing their stuff. And we're all in our funeral attire. Here is Marshall Yonda, lives in our district. So Coach P does some of the intro, and then Marshall was talking about our leadership topic that week. So Coach Brazzi did a little bit in the weight room, and then Marshall came in and talked to us. That could be anybody. Like, you got a really cool dad in your community or whatever, that'd be really cool. There's our guys that love to flex their guns. And some slams. Kind of an overview. Yeah?
How long did you say those pregame primers in the weight room took, roughly?
Oh, it's really short. What you saw, the home examples, probably like 15 minutes. And the away one's probably about the same. I think, so we get in there, we get started, it said on there 4:10, we get in there and start at 4:15. And Coach Brazzi is coming in to speak to the team at 4:30. So he stays out in the hallway, and we got pull-up bars out there, and he just does pull-ups while he's waiting. And he's got his electrolyte drinks or whatever with him. And then he just waits and high-fives the kids and smiles and talks to them and that type of stuff. And then at 4:30, that's what time everybody's finishing up. They're rolling, they're stretching, they're doing the things that they feel like they need to do. And then he comes in and he does his spiel. And then we'll have most of the team at that point, they go get dressed, taped, all that type of stuff. We'll have kids that stick around longer, and they do their stuff. So some of them have a certain song that they want to play. And we shut off the lights. It's a chill mood, but we'll have the wrestling room right next to us. The lights are completely off if you want to go lay down and visualize in there. A lot of kids walk laps in our school. They just get in 2s or 3s and just walk laps, put on some music. You know, everything that everybody else does in that way. But that is really how, as soon as Coach Brazzi gets done and our seniors get done, we get a breakdown, and it's stings by 100, or eventually by the end of the season it was stings by 1,000,000. I don't know how it got jumped up so high, but we were winning by not 1,000,000, but it was fun. That's kind of like some of those culture things that if you've got certain things that you guys do, just fit them in. I want this to be kind of like a model, and then you just weave in the stuff that you need to weave in that's specific to your guys' cultures. Yeah. When I was explaining all this stuff to Dad, it's like a lot of it's like ritualistic. Do you guys know what I'm saying? But I think there's so much value to that. I do. And I try to be as science-based as possible, and I don't know what to put my finger on. When you come out of a room and you feel 2 inches taller, it's a big deal, you know?